Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Martin Nebelong, and today I will be continuing work on a character I sculpted yesterday. Yesterday I had a streaming session where I made this guy here, and I then made variations over that sculpt. As you can see here, I made a zombie character, I made this guy here, and this guy here, all based on the same character. So basically I was exploring ways of easily modifying a base sculpt in Dreams to make various types of characters. And turns out Dreams is actually quite amazing for this, mainly due to the soft blend stamp tools in Dreams. So I can demonstrate that quickly here. If I go into the face of the model, I then choose my sphere tool, make sure it's set to stamp mode. Not this is stamp mode. Make sure it's not at smear mode like this. Go into stamp mode, and you can then turn up your soft blend like this, making it quite easy to go in and modify your shape without much work. You can see here. Doesn't take a lot of effort once you have your sculpt made. Of course, this looks like crap here, but you get the point, I'm sure. And this was basically what I did for all of the characters. I just went in, modified the shape, and then built on top of that. Hi Benjamin, glad to hear that. I'm having a lot of fun making these videos, for sure. And I'm having generally just a lot of fun building in Dreams, as I hope you can tell from my videos. So I just wanted to show you guys a nice trick when you're using soft blended shapes. You can go in, you can stamp down a shape, and then you can actually clone that shape internally in the model like this. And what you do is if you have the move controllers, you can hold down the triangle and left hand while you drag to make a copy, and you can then add clones either at continuing the motion like this, or you can add clones between point A and B of your action here. And this is quite useful actually for stuff like making a nose, for instance. I'm just going to build on top of this one. It's going to look a bit weird, but hopefully you kind of get the idea. So you can see by adding clones in between these 2 points, you get this curve-like effect, which is very nice for building up shapes and Dreams. But anyways, what I want to do today, I'm just going to be doing like half an hour stream maybe. I will continue work on this guy here, which is my favorite of the characters that I made yesterday. I really like this guy here, and I feel like he could maybe become quite a nice character on his own. So what I want to do is I want to take this model here and I want to bring him into his own scene, and I then will work on his body. I'll add some accessories and stuff, and we'll see how far we get with that today. So I'm gonna jump out here. I'm gonna make a new scene. And if you have any questions about my work, or need help with any of your own modeling, just let me know and I'll try to answer your questions the best I can. But for now, I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna take this guy and put him into his own environment here. And now watching him like this in this neutral lighting here, you can see that he wasn't really meant to be seen from more than one angle really. So I'm gonna start out by trying to fix that here. And actually the first thing I want to do is I want to bring in some spotlights just to show the model a little better. It's a bit difficult to see what I'm doing in the standard lighting in Dreams. I usually go in and add some spotlights like this, just to be able to better see what I'm doing. Alright, let's see. So first thing here, I want to change the arms. They look a little bit weird, to be honest. I think I'm just gonna go get the proportions in place first, so don't worry too much about this looking a bit strange for now. I will definitely go in and make sure that everything looks a little better towards the end of the sculpt here. So I scope in and I can then, you know, go in and change the pieces here that the model consists of. So I go in with a combination of soft blended shapes and then modify the overall proportions of the sculpt. And I might actually also go in and divide the model a little bit more into individual elements. So we're gonna have an element for his upper body. I will be making an element for his lower body as well. And that's what I'm gonna be making now. So I pick a cube, go in and change the shape like this, and then we're gonna put in his pelvic area or the hips here. And you know, I could go in and I could link up the model to a puppet, but I find that way of working a little bit constraining in terms of creativity. So I usually, what I want to do is I would rather just work on the model first, and then, you know, if it works well, I can always kind of crop it into different parts. But for now, I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna make his legs just like these stick figure legs almost, just to get a sense of his overall proportions really. So I don't really mind if it looks a bit bad now. I guess this is very much actually the same approach you would have if you were sculpting this guy in real clay. You would start out by making a framework, and you would then sculpt on top of that. So in that way, Dreams is actually very hands-on compared to a lot of other 3D programs. It feels a lot like a traditional modeling or sculpting process, I imagine. I haven't been doing a lot of traditional sculpting, to be honest, but I imagine this is pretty much what you would do. But let's see. I want to turn on mirror. Let's make the proportions of his arms. So I'm gonna make this this guy some kind of badass fighter type, so he's probably gonna have some kind of weapon or something. But we'll see about that. And you know, usually what I do when I have an idea for a type of character is I would go on Google Images and search for reference photos to inspire me for the work that I'm doing. I feel like that's something every artist should do, really make sure to look at a lot of references when you're sculpting. And I'm gonna make the feet of the character. Turn off mirror. Pick a fitting color. And then also something I would suggest you do in Dreams is make sure not to make too many uncomfortable movements with your hands when you're using the move controllers. So you can actually go into the edit shape function here, and you can then turn yourself until you are in a comfortable position. Then when you scope out of edit shape mode, the stamp will be in a more in a better position for what you're doing. That makes sense. Hey Eric, yes, I actually do have audio on today. The kids are off to school and daycare here in Denmark, so I actually have some quiet time now in my home office here. So usually, you know, especially during these Corona lockdown times, it has been a bit difficult to find the quiet time to actually do streams with audio on. But today I do have audio on, so I can actually work while answering your questions. So, okay, so this is just a very rough version of the character, obviously, and at the moment it looks pretty strange, to be honest. But I'm only concerned about the overall proportions and the pose of the model at the moment, so that's okay. So what I'm doing now is I went into the tools. I pick the clone tool and I then enable live clone. What this will do is it will make a instanced copy of whatever I clone. So if I go into the foot here now and change something, that change will then be reflected on to the other foot. And you can see I also mirrored the clone, so it's actually doing exactly what I wanted to here by mirroring the foot on the left side. And I'm gonna do the same for his hands. So let's get a rough version of those in there by choosing a cube. I'm gonna be color picking the color from his face. And then we'll start out with the palm of his hand. Like so. Just make this this sketch version of the model to start with. And actually, I've been trying to up my stream game a little bit. I actually got a green screen and everything, so in the future I will be doing more proper streams, both with audio and webcam on. So I know it's more engaging than just watching somebody sculpt without audio or camera on. Okay, let's see if I actually got this right. Hey Francisco, nice to see you. I'm just continuing work on the character from yesterday. Trying to get a bit more to my favorite character of the bunch from then. Okay, so I actually just cloned that hand there. I'm gonna delete it. Oops. I just actually made an internal modification. So I'm gonna go in again to the tools. I'm gonna pick the clone tool, make sure live clone is ticked, and I can then copy this one over here and flip it by hitting the square button on my left hand. And you can see I can then flip the model like this. And now I'm actually not sure what side. I think like this. Yeah, let's put it in there. Hi David. Thanks, man. That's a nice compliment. I've always strived to try and do what I love, and I've been lucky enough to be able to do that for a lot of years now. I actually started out doing art for Lego back in the day when I was around 21 years old, I think, and I'm 37 now, 37 years old. So I've been making artwork for a lot of years now, and for the last year or so, actually mostly in dreams. I'm quite amazed by the potential of dreams as a professional tool. It's a fantastic creative tool in my opinion. Hello Federico. Federico, sorry. Nice to see you. Thanks Tap. Yeah, I know these hands are beautiful. As well as the legs and the arms, right? But basically, yeah, I'm just trying to get the proportions down here before moving further and actually refining things. So this character looks ridiculous at the moment. But yeah, my creative process in Dreams is actually a lot like I would like what I would do in sketching on paper. And just to make sure, are you guys actually hearing what I'm saying here? I'm a noob when it comes to this kind of streaming. So let me know if you are actually hearing anything. All right, let's go in and refine the arms a little bit. Look at this. Looks so good. When I'm at this stage of the process, I usually tell myself, don't worry, Martin, you are a professional, you can do this. That's good, guys. Nice. You know, usually during stuff like this, for 90% of the time, I usually feel like the work is crap, and then somehow, I don't know why or how, but somehow during the last part of the process, I feel like, okay, this could actually work, and then most of the time at the end of the process, I'm quite happy about the result, so that's quite lucky, I guess. Looks like I might have forgotten to turn on mirror here, so let's put that on. Tap. Yeah, I you know, sometimes I've been sculpting directly onto a puppet, but I find that I'm constrained a little bit by having to think about joints and having to think about making the proper body parts and everything. I usually like the more freestyle approach, and I would then go in and I would then divide the model into the proper parts afterwards. I like the more freestyle sculpting better. I think just having to scope into the models to make sure that the arms are attached to the puppet and everything kind of breaks the creative immersion for me in a way. If that makes sense. Alright, so I would say, especially when going for a more realistic type model like this one, you should probably look at some reference, and I'm actually not doing this at the moment, so it's not a very precise representation of a human yet. But I actually do have these very nice anatomic models on my desk right next to the screen that I'm working on, so I can just look to the left and I have a very nice large anatomic reference where I can look at stuff like muscles and everything. So humans are very difficult to sculpt, especially faces actually, because as humans we are so used to looking at other faces, so everybody knows what a nose looks like, everybody knows, you know, when something is off about a character. So it's much more forgiving if you're sculpting something like a dragon or a monster of some sort, because nobody will be able to go up to you and say, hey man, that's not what a monster looks like. You can just say, yeah, well, my monster looks like this. For a human it's different because everybody knows humans so well. So it makes it difficult. Yeah, tap that. That's what I'd do. I'd go in and I'll just cut out the parts afterwards. So I'll go into, for anybody who doesn't know this, I know you know tap, but you can go into, if you scope into your sculpt, you can go into tools and you have the crop tool here, which you can then use to crop out the body parts. So just pick a spear, and then you have to try and find the area actually. So I would go in and do something like this, add a little bit of soft blend maybe to hide the joints a little bit. and then we need to make sure that you have the crop tool, the cutout tool and not the crop tool. The crop tool will crop away anything outside of the crop area. So now you actually have two parts here, and what you can then do to hide the seam here is go in and move the crop sphere afterwards like this. So now you actually have two parts that intersects more nicely. I mean, I'm just reading your comments. Yeah. Hands and faces are so incredibly difficult. Sometimes I've had to sculpt characters that actually looks like a certain person. For instance, I worked on the Jumanji thing with Media Molecule, where I had to sculpt the characters from the movie, and that was actually super difficult. We had a more stylized approach to the process than what I'm having here. So in a way that made things a little bit easier. But then again, caricature is also very difficult, so I struggled quite a lot with that one, but in the end I think the result was quite nice. Federico, yeah, I have done some interactive content. I definitely have, especially like interactive scenery where you can move around and things happen. I haven't really made much in terms of games and dreams. I made a Fruit Ninja clone thing where you can actually swing a sword in dreams, but that's about it. I usually just make artwork, but that's definitely an area that I want to get into more. And Tab, you have been helping me a lot with logics as well, so thanks a lot for that. I'm very much at a loss when it comes to logic in dreams still, but I'm starting to understand at least a little bit more of it. Hello, Gomesh. That's so nice of you to say. I'm a big fan of your VR sculpts, so I'm super happy to see you joined the Dreams team as well. I think Dreams is one of the most amazing 3D creative tools ever made, really. I'm so much a fan. It's incredibly useful to be able to work directly in the right lighting scenarios. So being able to see things like shadows and everything while you're working is amazing, I think. And then just the fact that you can use both your hands compared to sculpting in ZBrush or something, where you sculpt with a Wacom tablet or a mouse. There's really no comparison. It's so much better to use both hands when sculpting. So we are gonna, I think I'm actually going to delete this arm and then go in and delete the crop to keep working on the model before I go in and cut out the different parts of the model. And I definitely have to also get used to talking while I'm sculpting. It's I'm usually in the zone when I'm working, as most of you probably have seen. When I'm doing my streams, I'm totally immersed in the work. So having to actually put into words what you're doing is a challenge. I used to be able to do it much better earlier in my years as an artist. I used to actually sit in the local amusement park and have a job there where I did drawings of the guests in the park. So I did caricatures and I did more realistic drawings as well. And you know, sitting there, I had to talk to people, and I had people standing right next to me, like kind of like breathing over my shoulder, looking at my work. So I used to be able to do that. I have to get back to that, I think. But again, I really want to talk to you guys, and I want to be able to answer your questions and everything. So I'm gonna be doing much more of this for sure. But today is only gonna be quite a short stream, so I probably won't have time to make this into anything that really looks good. But we'll see how far we can get today. So I actually didn't have mirror on when I sculpted the legs here, so I'm just gonna kind of sculpt on top of this, and don't worry too much about using this for anything but this cool pose here. I don't think I'm gonna be chopping this one up into parts and everything. I'm just gonna make a guy that stands here looking cool, looking like a little bit more like a real person, not just a stick figure, I guess. All right. Yeah, Eric, yeah, I used to do that many years ago, back when I just graduated from design school in Copenhagen back in 2011. That was I had this summer job where I did caricature drawings at an amusement park. Quite a fun experience, and a really nice way to actually practice my or my portrait skills. So I was actually much better at capturing likeness back then than I am today. All right. This is super rough still, by the way. Hello, Shadow. But yeah, I've actually made a living making artwork for something like 17 years or something now. So I consider myself really lucky to be able to do what I love at a daily basis. Especially also in these times now with the corona crisis and everything. It's I've been quite lucky to be able to keep doing what I do from the confines of my own house. Nothing's really changed in that regard for me, so I consider myself quite lucky. Of course, I had my kids. I have a son who's 3 years old and a daughter who's 6. And of course, both of them have been home for some time, making it a little bit difficult to concentrate on work. But yeah, there's not much you can do, of course. But actually, Denmark just opened up schools and daycare for the youngest kids now. So both my son and daughter are back in daycare and school now. Okay, just trying to make the different parts fit together here is a little bit difficult. And one thing I would always advise you to do is to look at your model from all sides, and you can actually see now why I should have done that myself, because it looks kind of ridiculous from the side here. So I'm gonna try and make sure the pose works from all angles by just turning the model around like this. And this is gonna be so much easier in VR, I hope. I've been sculpting in VR for quite a few years before Dreams, like 3 years or something before Dreams. I did a lot of VR sculpting, and one thing that really is much better in VR is your depth perception, of course. So it's much easier to place things correctly on the first try than it is on a 2D screen. You're welcome, Eric. I always enjoyed teaching. I've actually been teaching kids the art of drawing manga for 15 or 16 years now. So I always enjoyed sharing tips and tricks, and I do believe in a very open way of sharing knowledge. I never really believed in trying to keep trade secrets, like about how you work and everything. I never really believed in that, and I know some artists are like that. They don't really want to share with people out of fear that they will kind of steal their techniques or something. But you know, it's not like just because you know how to do something in dreams from watching somebody doing it, it's not gonna be like a magic pill anyways. It's gonna save you some grief, I'm sure, but it's not gonna make you a great artist right away anyway. It's gonna take a lot of hard work, and you can definitely also see from watching some of the threads on social media about dreams that I think some players might have an expectation of being able to jump into dreams and then just do stuff at a John Beach level or or something, and then they get frustrated when they can't do that. Yeah, I don't know, Gomesh. I actually now, since I do work for Media Molecule, I of course I can't say anything about anything that I know internally from Media Molecule, because I do freelance work for Media Molecule. I just worked with them on a project, and I'm still working with them on some projects. So I can't say too much about features and stuff. But I think they kind of listen very much to feedbacks from users, so you should definitely suggest that. And VR is definitely also gonna make it easier to place things correctly on the first try. Yeah, Tab. Yeah. I was referring to that post as well. There's been quite a few of those from people who don't expect to put in some effort to learn this. It's like picking up a violin really and expecting to be able to play beautiful music on day one. It's not gonna happen. I think maybe some users might be misled from watching some of the great artwork or logic or music posted in Dreams, thinking that, you know, Dreams is a game, so I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna make like beautiful music or something. Of course, that's not gonna happen. Dreams is really just, Dreams is like an instrument really. It takes a lot of time to master. I think for me, myself personally, it didn't take so long for me to get into sculpting in Dreams, and that's mainly because I've been doing sculpting in VR, which is quite similar actually. So I was very used to like sculpting with both hands and everything. Also, a lot of the terminology in Dreams, like things like, you know, the grades and effect gadget and the spotlights and shadows and all of that is quite similar in other 3D packages. So I was quite used to what everything meant and everything. So I was able to quite quickly jump into Dreams and start using it for stuff that I could actually use, you know. But I honestly do believe that Dreams is a game changer for both, you know, for indie games and artists. And I have so many applications where I think Dreams could be used, like things like set design. I'm working on some music videos for a band. I'm working on a music video, and I'm working on other client work alongside the work that I do for Media Molecule, which I can't wait to share with you guys, by the way. Eric, I started out using Oculus Medium back when it was still called Oculus Medium. Now it's Adobe Medium. And then I also used Quill quite a lot, and still use Quill for client work. And then actually for about a year or so, I used to be the artistic director for a company called Masterpiece VR, who makes a VR sculpting tool as well, which is quite similar to the sculpting experience in Dreams. Yeah, I'm quite excited for Dreams VR to come out, as a lot of you are, I'm sure. But I'm, generally I'm quite curious about seeing where Dreams is what Dreams is evolving to in terms of supporting a professional audience as well, like people who wants to sell their games, people who want to use Dreams for creating like movies or yeah, because I think Dreams could be used in a lot of cases. Imagine like making a kids show for television or something in Dreams. I think there's a big potential there too. Yeah, I wish I could speak to you guys about Dreams VR, but I can't say anything. All right, so the shirt is actually starting to look quite good here, I think. And I probably won't have time for too much more, unfortunately. And just for fun, of course I'm gonna save the scene out. Yeah, he's a bro for sure. Yeah, I white. So I'm gonna save this, and I'm just gonna put in some stamps from that I made previously, just to build up an environment very quickly to show you a thing that I think is very important in Dreams, is that you spend the time it takes to make quality assets, or at least you can find some quality assets from others. And once you have these in a collection, you are gonna be a powerhouse in Dreams. You can build stuff so quickly here compared to any other creative package. So let's see if we I can bring in some of my forest assets from the forest walk scene I made. Like, let's put a ground plane here. Right. Let's add some. Let's add in some of these desert assets here that I made for the project that I made with Gomesh, actually. Again, this is not, I'm not gonna keep this, I just wanted to show you guys how awesome it is to build scenes in Dreams once you have the assets for it. Let's see, what can we do? Let's bring in some rocks. I'm gonna use my favorite trick here to scatter the rocks. So if you make a rock like this, you can, if you start time, you can copy this element multiple times, make a group like this, scope into it, and then just make clones. Double click to select everything, open the properties, and go in and make things movable. Then it's gonna drop to the ground like this. You can actually then keep copying like so. You can move stuff around. You can actually even push the rocks around like this. Whoa, okay. might be a bit too much, but I just wanted to show you guys this trick. Okay, so once everything is moved into place, what you do is you double click again, open properties, turn off movable, and then you need to move everything just a tiny bit, because otherwise once you rewind time, things are going to be jumping back to position. But now when you rewind time, these rocks actually stay in place. So that's a very quick way to scatter environment around your scene. And then also a thing I usually like to do is just use the same assets multiple times. So if you wanted to make like a hill in the background here, you could actually reuse the same asset here. And then through the styling options in Dreams, you can do quite a lot in terms of using the same asset for multiple things. So say we wanted to make a forest on top of this hill, for instance, I would go in here and I would actually change the styling of the object, just something like this maybe. And yeah, let's add in some clouds as well. My favorite topic in Dreams, making clouds. Let's take this one. And then the secret behind good looking clouds in Dreams is to add a light source that shines upon an object with some waxiness applied to it. So let's zoom out. Let's add a light source, spotlight. Make sure it's a big one, just like this. Whoops. You can turn on the X-ray functionality in Dreams, so you can still see the light source even if it's behind the mountain. Oops, let's see. Then you can have good looking clouds like this. Yeah, tab. Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry. You were saying that to shadow. Yeah, you can select multiple items and tweak them at the same time. I can actually demonstrate that here. If I scope into the rocks, you will be able to then go in here and change the color of all of them, for instance, like that. But I would say the best tip I can give you in Dreams is actually to reuse elements as much as possible. It's very thermo friendly, so if you find that you're hitting the thermo level too quickly, it's because you're not cloning enough, really. But let's see, if I wanted to add snow to this mountain in the background, I would copy the mountain itself. I would then go in and tweak the styling of the object until I find something that looks a little bit more like snow, maybe. You can also up the looseness, like this. And you can then see here, by just placing the element strategically, you can get this nice effect. So layering objects in Dreams is super powerful as well, and I do that quite a lot too. And then I will also say light is definitely important in Dreams. You can see just the difference from this very flat looking thing to actually putting a light source just like this and then changing its properties. You can get some specular reflection on the ground, and specular is kind of all these small reflections that you see here, and it's just gonna add some believability to the scene, really. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be that much. Maybe something like this. Just look at the difference here from this very gray flat looking thing to something that actually looks three-dimensional. That's a whole lot, I would say. So definitely explore using light sources in Dreams. It's a very important thing. Yeah, gameplay thermo. Yeah, I did the challenge with the 1% graphics thermo. So actually, a lot of comments on Facebook and stuff said that I should make a challenge next time with 1% everything. Yeah, that's a good point. So gameplay thermo can definitely suffer if you clone things too much. So if, say, I wanted to, I can demonstrate that as well. If we copy this object here, if I then like copy it multiple times here, like so. If I then group this and then copy this many times and group that, so groups within groups within groups is gonna kill your gameplay thermo. And you can actually see now the gameplay thermo went up 15% from this. And then as I clone this, yeah, scene contains too many objects. So I can quite quickly hit the gameplay thermo with this. Previous edit too big to undo, you will get that too. But in this case, we're just gonna delete this cloned element here. Yeah, and that's a good question, Tab. Like if you made a tiny pebble and copied it thousands. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for things like pebble, for instance, you can actually see here, I think I have a pebble element in here maybe. No, this is just one element, but I actually do have a pebble object here that I can show you. A sand object. You can see this is all one sculpt. Some people might go in and they would make just a little small rock element. Let's just say it's something like this maybe. That would make like a nice little rock here. Just something like this. Very nice. You get the picture, and then they would just go in and copy this a lot of times like this to kind of get this this pebble effect. This of course looks way too repetitive, but again, I hope you understand the meaning of this demonstration here. But you can already see this is 336 objects here. And this is also going to kill your gameplay thermo quite quickly. Just look at this. 29% already, and then just a few copies and you hit the limit. Yeah. And then just in comparison, I'm going to delete this one. Look at this one. If I delete it, you can see how much graphics. It's 4% graphics thermo, so that might seem like quite a lot, but imagine covering like if you cover a whole desert with this one, and you can actually copy this element so many times.